Imagine a tree that never grows beyond the size of the pot it's planted in. It might live, it might survive, but it will never reach its full potential. The same is true for you. You will never grow until you outgrow yourself, the version of you that is comfortable, safe, and familiar. The first step toward growth is self-awareness. You must take a hard look at who you are today. What are your habits, your beliefs, your limitations? This is not about judgment. It's about clarity. Without knowing where you are, you cannot chart the path to where you want to be. Growth does not happen in comfort. The moment you stop challenging yourself, you start shrinking. The comfort zone is a silent enemy. It feels safe, but it quietly holds you back. Real growth happens when you step into discomfort, when you try things you might fail at, when you push past what you thought was possible. Outgrowing yourself requires continuous learning and adaptation. The world is changing, and so must you. Skills, perspectives, and understanding that worked yesterday may not serve you tomorrow. To grow, you must evolve, constantly question your assumptions, embrace new knowledge, and expand your horizons. But awareness and learning alone are not enough. Action is the bridge between potential and achievement. Every small, intentional step you take matters. Growth is rarely instant. It is a series of deliberate choices that compound over time. The question is not if you can change, but if you are willing to take the steps even when it's uncomfortable. You will never grow until you outgrow yourself. Outgrow the fears, the habits, the limitations that keep you small. Outgrow the person you were yesterday and move toward the person you are capable of becoming. Because real growth is not something that happens to you. It's something you actively create. And the first step is simple, yet profound. Start being bigger than the version of yourself that is holding you back. Self-awareness is the foundation of growth, yet it is often the most overlooked aspect of personal development. To truly outgrow yourself, you first need to understand who you are at this very moment. This goes beyond a superficial understanding of your likes and dislikes. It involves a deep, honest examination of your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, habits, strengths, weaknesses, and even your blind spots. Without this clarity, any attempt at growth becomes aimless because you are building on assumptions rather than reality. Self-awareness is like holding up a mirror to yourself, not a flattering mirror, but a clear one that reflects the truth of your current state. This reflection allows you to identify the patterns and tendencies that have shaped your life so far and recognize which of them are holding you back. To begin cultivating self-awareness, you must start by observing your thoughts and actions without judgment. Many people confuse self-awareness with self-criticism, but the two are very different. Self-awareness is neutral and objective. It seeks to understand rather than condemn. For example, when you notice that you procrastinate or avoid challenging tasks, self-awareness allows you to see this pattern clearly. It helps you ask critical questions. Why do I avoid this task? What fear or belief is influencing my decision? How does this behavior impact my long-term goals? These questions are not meant to induce guilt, but to illuminate the hidden forces shaping your behavior. By answering them honestly, you create a map of your current self, which is essential for knowing what needs to change. Another critical element of self-awareness is understanding your emotional responses. Emotions are powerful indicators of our internal state, yet many people ignore them or push them aside. Recognizing why certain situations trigger specific emotions allows you to understand yourself more deeply. For instance, if you notice that criticism makes you defensive or anxious, this awareness can help you explore the underlying beliefs that drive that reaction. Maybe it stems from a fear of failure, a desire for approval, or past experiences that have conditioned you to respond in a particular way. Understanding these emotional triggers enables you to regulate your responses more effectively and make conscious choices rather than reacting automatically. In essence, emotional self-awareness is the key to mastering your behavior, because emotions are the fuel behind most of the decisions we make. Self-awareness also requires examining your habits and routines. Habits are the silent architects of your life. They can either propel you forward or keep you stuck in the same place. By becoming aware of your daily actions and how they align or misalign with your goals, you gain insight into where change is needed. This is not about creating a perfect routine overnight, but about observing patterns and identifying which habits serve growth and which hinder it. For example, if you notice that you spend hours on activities that provide temporary satisfaction but no long-term benefit, self-awareness allows you to recognize the gap between your current reality and your potential. Awareness of habits is the first step toward intentionally redesigning your life to support growth. Self-awareness also extends to your belief systems and assumptions. Every person operates within a framework of beliefs that dictate how they interpret the world. Some of these beliefs are empowering, while others are limiting. Many limitations arise not from external circumstances, but from internal narratives we accept without question. Becoming aware of these beliefs is critical because growth cannot occur while we are constrained by outdated or false assumptions. For instance, if you hold the belief that you are not good at learning new things, this belief will shape your behavior, decisions, and willingness to take on challenges. Recognizing this belief as a limitation allows you to confront it and replace it with a more empowering perspective. This process of examining and adjusting your beliefs is essential for outgrowing the version of yourself that is trapped by fear, doubt, or misinformation. Self-awareness requires reflection and introspection. Taking time to pause, think, and journal about your experiences, decisions, and reactions creates a feedback loop that deepens your understanding of yourself. Reflection allows you to analyze successes and failures with a lens of learning rather than judgment. It helps you connect the dots between your actions and outcomes, which is crucial for identifying patterns that need to change. The practice of reflection can be simple, spending a few minutes each day reviewing what went well, what didn't, and why, but its impact is profound. It transforms everyday experiences into lessons that guide your evolution. Self-awareness is the essential starting point for outgrowing yourself because it provides the clarity and insight necessary to understand where you are now. It involves observing your thoughts, emotions, habits, and beliefs with honesty and objectivity. By cultivating self-awareness, you create the foundation upon which all meaningful growth is built. Without this understanding, efforts to change or improve risk being misguided or superficial. With it, however, you gain the power to identify the exact areas of your life that require transformation and to take intentional steps toward becoming a larger, wiser, and more capable version of yourself. Comfort zones are often invisible barriers that prevent individuals from reaching their full potential. They are the routines, habits, and environments where everything feels safe, predictable, and familiar. While comfort zones provide a sense of security, they also create stagnation. Staying within these zones may reduce stress temporarily, but over time, it restricts growth, creativity, and opportunity. The human brain is naturally wired to avoid discomfort, uncertainty, and risk because survival instincts prioritize safety. However, in today's world, personal and professional growth does not come from staying safe. It comes from pushing boundaries and embracing uncertainty. By remaining within comfort zones, individuals unknowingly limit their potential and miss out on experiences that could shape their skills, mindset, and resilience. The first step to understanding the danger of comfort zones is recognizing how subtly they can take control of life. A person may believe they are content with their current routine, only to realize later that fear of change was guiding their decisions. Comfort zones manifest in many ways: avoiding challenging conversations, sticking to familiar tasks at work, choosing easy solutions over innovative ones, or maintaining relationships and habits that no longer serve growth. Each of these choices reinforces the status quo, making change increasingly difficult. Even when opportunities for growth present themselves, the familiarity of the comfort zone often feels more appealing than the risk of failure or discomfort associated with change. This is why the very act of leaving a comfort zone can feel intimidating, even if the benefits are obvious. Stepping out of a comfort zone requires confronting fear directly. Fear is a natural reaction to uncertainty, but it can also serve as a signal that growth is possible. When we feel discomfort, it is often an indicator that we are on the edge of learning something new or achieving something meaningful. Avoiding fear may feel easier in the short term, but it reinforces limitation over time. By contrast, leaning into fear, by taking calculated risks, trying unfamiliar experiences, or challenging existing habits, creates a pathway for expansion. Every time a person chooses action over comfort, they weaken the grip of the comfort zone and build confidence, resilience, and competence. In this sense, discomfort is not an obstacle, it is a necessary component of growth. The effects of staying in comfort zones are cumulative. Small choices to avoid challenges compound over months and years, resulting in a life defined by what is easy rather than what is meaningful. People may find themselves questioning why they have not achieved their goals or why they feel unfulfilled, without realizing that avoidance of discomfort is the root cause. Comfort zones often provide the illusion of stability, but in reality, they limit experiences, learning, and potential. Those who remain in comfort zones are rarely pushed to innovate, adapt, or stretch their abilities, leaving significant gaps between who they are and who they could become. Recognizing this dynamic is essential for anyone who wants to grow intentionally and live a life of purpose. Breaking free from a comfort zone requires deliberate action and mindset shifts. It begins with identifying areas of life where complacency has taken hold. This could include professional stagnation, avoidance of personal development, or reliance on routines that no longer challenge the mind or body. Once identified, individuals must create small, manageable steps to introduce discomfort in a controlled way. For instance, volunteering for new responsibilities at work, learning a skill outside one's expertise, or initiating difficult conversations are all ways to expand personal boundaries. These steps may initially feel uncomfortable, but repeated exposure to discomfort gradually expands tolerance and capability. Over time, challenges that once seemed intimidating become opportunities for growth. Another important aspect of leaving comfort zones is embracing failure as part of the learning process. Fear of failure often keeps people confined within safe spaces, yet failure is a critical teacher. Every failure provides insight, feedback, and perspective that cannot be gained through safe routines alone. Individuals who understand this approach view discomfort and mistakes as valuable signals of growth rather than as threats to identity or self-worth. By reframing discomfort and failure in this way, a person can intentionally push beyond comfort zones with confidence, knowing that each step contributes to long-term development. Additionally, leaving comfort zones strengthens adaptability and resilience. Life is unpredictable, and those who have trained themselves to face challenges are better equipped to handle change. Experiencing discomfort prepares the mind and body to navigate uncertainty without panic, hesitation, or reliance on old habits. It also builds creativity, problem-solving skills, and the ability to innovate because new situations demand flexible thinking and action. Comfort zones, by contrast, create rigidity. They limit perspective and prevent the acquisition of skills necessary for growth in a complex and rapidly changing world. Ultimately, the key to overcoming comfort zones is understanding that growth and security rarely coexist. To achieve meaningful progress, individuals must embrace discomfort intentionally, challenge assumptions, and actively seek experiences that stretch their abilities. Comfort zones may feel safe, but they are growth killers. Real expansion, learning, and transformation only occur when one dares to step outside the familiar and engage with the unknown. Continuous learning and adaptation are essential for outgrowing yourself because the world around us is constantly evolving, and so must we. Growth is not a static event. It is a dynamic process that requires ongoing development of knowledge, skills, and perspectives. To remain in the same state of understanding or competence is to risk stagnation. When individuals commit to continuous learning, they acknowledge that no matter how much they know or how skilled they are, there is always room for improvement. This mindset allows them to remain curious, open, and resilient in the face of challenges, instead of becoming complacent or resistant to change. Learning is not limited to formal education. It can occur through experiences, reflection, mentorship, observation, and even failure. Adaptation is the complementary process. It is the practical application of what is learned, the ability to adjust strategies, behaviors, and thinking to align with new knowledge or circumstances. Together, learning and adaptation form a cycle that fuels personal and professional growth. To engage in continuous learning, individuals must first cultivate curiosity. Curiosity is the desire to understand, explore, and expand beyond what is already known. It drives individuals to ask questions, seek new experiences, and challenge assumptions. Curiosity pushes people to look for opportunities where others see obstacles. For instance, in a professional setting, a curious individual may explore emerging technologies, study new methods, or observe industry trends to remain ahead. In a personal context, curiosity can involve exploring different cultures, perspectives, or philosophies to broaden one's understanding of the world. By remaining curious, individuals develop a habit of seeking knowledge that keeps them evolving and prevents them from becoming rigid or self-limiting. Adaptation, on the other hand, requires flexibility and the ability to translate learning into action. Knowledge without application is ineffective. Adaptation involves observing the environment, understanding patterns, and making intentional changes to behavior or strategy. Life presents constant change, new challenges, shifting circumstances, and unexpected events. Those who can adapt effectively respond to these changes without being overwhelmed. They adjust their methods, experiment with new approaches, and refine their actions based on outcomes. This ability to pivot and evolve is critical because rigid adherence to old ways, even if they were once successful, can prevent progress in a changing environment. Adaptation transforms learning from theoretical understanding into practical growth. One crucial aspect of continuous learning is seeking feedback. Feedback provides insight into blind spots, inefficiencies, and areas for improvement that may not be obvious through self-reflection alone. Constructive feedback, whether from peers, mentors, or data, offers a mirror that highlights gaps in knowledge, skill, or behavior. The key is to view feedback as a tool for development rather than a judgment of worth. Those committed to learning actively seek feedback and respond with curiosity, asking questions such as, "What can I do differently?" or "How can I improve this outcome?" Feedback drives adaptation because it informs the adjustments needed to achieve better results and refine one's approach. Another critical element of continuous learning is embracing failure as a teacher. Mistakes and setbacks provide information that success cannot. Each failure contains lessons about what works, what does not, and why. Individuals who adapt successfully treat failures as experiments, analyzing outcomes to identify patterns and insights. This mindset allows for rapid iteration and improvement. Instead of being discouraged by failure, they use it as fuel for learning and as a guide for the next step. Over time, this process builds resilience, creativity, and strategic thinking, all of which are necessary for sustained growth. Continuous learning and adaptation also require expanding perspectives. Exposure to new ideas, disciplines, and ways of thinking enhances problem solving and innovation. Limiting oneself to a narrow set of experiences or knowledge confines growth. By exploring diverse perspectives, individuals learn to approach challenges with flexibility and creativity. They integrate insights from multiple sources to develop more effective strategies and solutions. This broad, adaptable mindset ensures that growth is not linear or one-dimensional, but holistic and sustainable. The commitment to continuous learning and adaptation is a lifelong practice. It cannot be confined to a period of formal education or a single personal development plan. Growth requires a proactive, persistent approach, setting goals, reflecting on progress, and adjusting strategies regularly. It also requires humility, the recognition that mastery is never final and that there is always more to learn. Those who embrace this mindset develop the ability to thrive in uncertainty, leverage challenges as opportunities, and consistently evolve into better versions of themselves. Continuous learning and adaptation are inseparable from outgrowing yourself. Learning provides new knowledge, skills, and perspectives, while adaptation applies these insights to navigate change effectively. Together, they create a cycle of growth that is dynamic, intentional, and sustainable. Those who commit to this process not only improve themselves, but also gain the ability to shape their environment, respond to challenges with confidence, and achieve their fullest potential. Action over intention is the critical step that transforms ideas, plans, and awareness into real growth. Many people have visions, goals, and aspirations, yet they fail to make significant progress because intention alone cannot produce change. Intentions provide direction, but without deliberate action, they remain abstract concepts. Growth requires consistent movement toward those intentions, translating thoughts and plans into measurable steps. Simply wanting to improve, learn, or achieve something is not enough. It is the repeated, purposeful effort that creates results. In other words, action is the bridge between potential and achievement. Without action, even the clearest insights, boldest ideas, and strongest self-awareness remain dormant, and the opportunity to outgrow oneself is lost. The first element of prioritizing action over intention is clarity of purpose. Understanding what you want to achieve is essential because it allows you to identify the specific actions that will move you toward your goal. Vague intentions, such as "I want to grow" or "I want to improve," are insufficient because they do not provide a roadmap for action. Specificity enables action to be measurable, achievable, and targeted. For example, instead of saying, "I want to get healthier," a more actionable approach is to say, "I will exercise for 30 minutes, 5 times a week, and track my meals daily." Clear intentions naturally guide action, but clarity alone is not enough. Follow-through is essential. Another key aspect is breaking down goals into small, manageable steps. Large goals can feel overwhelming, which often leads to inaction despite good intentions. By dividing a goal into smaller, achievable tasks, individuals can make consistent progress and build momentum. These incremental steps create a sense of accomplishment and reinforce commitment to the larger objective. For instance, learning a new skill, such as a language or programming, can seem daunting if approached all at once. However, dedicating a small, consistent amount of time each day and gradually increasing complexity allows for continuous progress. Action does not require perfection. It requires persistence, consistency, and a willingness to start even when conditions are not ideal. Consistency is another fundamental principle. One isolated action, while helpful, does not produce lasting growth. Sustainable progress comes from repeated effort over time. Habits are formed through repetition, and actions compound into results. Taking daily or regular steps toward improvement embeds growth into the structure of your life. This principle applies across all areas: professional development, personal health, relationships, and intellectual growth. The key is to maintain momentum, even when progress feels slow or challenges arise. Small, consistent actions create a trajectory that leads to significant transformation over time. Accountability is also crucial for converting intention into action. Self-awareness and planning can only go so far if there is no mechanism to ensure follow-through. Accountability can take many forms: tracking progress, sharing goals with a mentor or peer, or creating systems that provide feedback and measurement. When individuals are accountable, they are more likely to act consistently, confront obstacles, and adjust strategies as needed. Accountability transforms intention into tangible progress because it introduces responsibility, structure, and external reinforcement into the growth process. Action also requires overcoming procrastination and fear. Often, people intend to change or grow but are held back by doubt, fear of failure, or the discomfort of starting. Action demands courage, the willingness to step forward despite uncertainty. It is not about waiting until conditions are perfect or motivation is at its peak. It is about taking the first step, however small, and building momentum through movement. Fear is not eliminated by intention alone. It is overcome through repeated action. Each action taken, even imperfectly, reduces fear and builds confidence, reinforcing the cycle of growth. Reflection and adjustment are part of action as well. Growth is not simply about moving forward blindly. It requires assessing results, learning from mistakes, and refining strategies. Action without reflection can lead to wasted effort or repetition of ineffective patterns. By combining deliberate action with reflective practice, individuals ensure that their efforts produce meaningful results. Each action becomes a learning opportunity, informing the next steps and gradually guiding a person toward mastery, resilience, and self-improvement. Ultimately, prioritizing action over intention creates a shift from passive desire to active growth. It transforms ideas, plans, and awareness into measurable outcomes. Action turns knowledge into competence, effort into achievement, and potential into reality. Those who embrace action understand that growth is not accidental. It is intentional, deliberate, and sustained. Action over intention is the principle that separates those who dream from those who achieve, and it is the final, essential step in the process of outgrowing oneself.